Somewhere between the stars and the silence, a pen scratches across eternity. On one side, a god records every breath of the cosmos, precise, patient, calculating. He is Thoth, the Egyptian scribe of the divine, the one who names the stars, measures time, and writes the truths that gods themselves must follow. On the other side, at the crossroads where all choices collide, a figure laughs. He twists meanings, swaps messages, starts wars with a whisper. This is Eshu, the Yoruba trickster, the messenger, the master of language, of ambiguity, of power hidden in confusion. And between them lies a question older than writing itself. What is wisdom? Is it the ability to write truth into stone, to set divine law with order and balance like Thoth? Or is it the power to bend that truth, to shape meaning and shift perception like Eshu? When gods clash, it is not always with fire and thunder. Sometimes it is with words, with silence, with the control of understanding itself. This is not a battle of good and evil. It's a duel between structure and spontaneity, between certainty and chaos, between the sentence and the smirk behind it. Thoth and Eshu come from different worlds, one from the tombs of pharaohs and papyrus scrolls, the other from drum circles and divination shells. But their domains overlap in the most sacred of places, the power to know, to communicate, to influence. This is not just mythology, it is philosophy. If knowledge is power, who really holds it? The one who speaks clearly, or the one who controls how it's heard? So tonight we ask, who truly governs divine wisdom? The God who writes it, or the one who makes it move? Thoth versus Eshu. Truth versus transformation. Let the story begin. In the golden heart of ancient Egypt, where pyramids pointed toward eternity, and the Nile whispered secrets to the sky, one god stood not with sword or scepter, but with a reed pen in hand. Thoth. Known to the Egyptians as Jehuti, he was the divine scribe, the one who recorded the movements of the cosmos, who measured the hours of night and the weight of a soul. He was neither king nor conqueror, yet he held power over both, because Thoth governed knowledge itself. To understand Egyptian cosmology is to understand the role of balance. The universe was not ruled by force, but by order. Ma'at, truth, justice, harmony. Ma'at was not just an idea. It was a principle that held the cosmos together, and Thoth was her most loyal servant. Every decree of the gods, every law of the land, every ritual of death and rebirth passed through his hand. He did not merely witness creation, he organized it. He gave words to the unspoken, time to the eternal, form to the divine. Thoth is credited as the inventor of writing, both spoken and sacred. The hieroglyphs that adorned temples and tombs were not just decorations, they were echoes of his voice. Through language, Thoth brought clarity to chaos. In a world where to name a thing was to control it, his gift of writing became a foundation of power. Without him, there would be no spells, no scrolls, no records. He was the mind of the gods, the architect of ritual, the mathematician of the stars. His influence stretched far beyond the scribal class. In the weighing of the soul, a ritual at the heart of Egyptian belief, Thoth served as divine recorder. As the deceased's heart was placed on a scale against the feather of Ma'at, Thoth stood ready, writing down the verdict with cold precision. He did not judge, but he documented. His word was law because it was the mirror of truth. No manipulation, no mercy, just record, just balance. Thoth was also a master of Heka, divine magic, not the illusion of tricks, but the deep, sacred force that shaped reality. Magic in Egypt was not separate from religion. It was woven into the fabric of daily life, and Thoth was its guardian. He knew the secret names of the gods, the proper alignment of stars, the rituals that could bind or release. Pharaohs invoked him before battle. Priests called upon him in temples, and the dead relied on him to navigate the perilous underworld. He was depicted with the head of an ibis, a bird known for its precision and grace. Sometimes he appeared as a baboon, a creature sacred to the moon. Another domain he ruled. As lunar god, Thoth was the keeper of time and tides. His role was vast, yet always centered on equilibrium. Where other gods waged war or ruled with thunder, Thoth maintained the delicate systems beneath it all. He was the blueprint behind the throne, the mind beneath the myth. And though he was not always the most visible deity, his presence was constant. In every temple inscription, every ritual chant, Thoth lingered. He was the god you didn't worship out of fear or desperation, but the one you called on when precision mattered, when truth was on trial, when balance had to be restored. In many ways, Thoth was not just a god of knowledge, he was knowledge itself. The embodiment of divine intelligence, the cosmic editor of creation's manuscript. In the world of ancient Egypt, wisdom was not wild or unpredictable. It was measured, recorded, and held accountable. Thoth made it so. He did not just speak truth, he inscribed it, etched it into the bones of time, and in doing so, he became the very foundation of divine law. The gods had desires, Thoth had direction. The gods had power, Thoth had purpose. He did not shout, he wrote, and with that, he made the world knowable, ordered, sacred. At the edge of every path, where choices collide and futures split, stands a god with a grin too wide to trust and eyes too sharp to miss a single detail. Eshu. In Yoruba cosmology, he is the Orisha of crossroads, the master of communication, and the orchestrator of divine mischief. While others rule the skies or oceans, Eshu governs something far more dangerous, meaning. He is the one who carries messages between gods and humans, but he never guarantees they'll arrive the same way they were sent. For Eshu, clarity is optional. Truth is negotiable, and every word is a weapon. Unlike Thoth, who organizes knowledge, Eshu destabilizes it. He is not a god of control, he is the god of movement, of transformation, of chaos that births new truths. In Yoruba tradition, the universe is not static. It is a dynamic interplay between forces, each with its own agenda, rhythm, and ritual. And it is Eshu who navigates, disrupts, and sometimes manipulates these interactions. He is the divine mediator, not because he brings peace, but because he ensures the conversation never ends. Without Eshu, there is no dialogue. Without him, prayers don't reach the gods. Sacrifices don't activate. Change doesn't happen. He is often misunderstood. Western interpretations label him a trickster, and while the term fits, it oversimplifies. Eshu is not just a mischievous spirit, he is the embodiment of paradox, the necessary agent who tests sincerity, forces growth, and exposes illusion. His chaos isn't random, it's calculated. It reveals the fault lines in human certainty. It teaches that wisdom isn't always clean or clear. Sometimes the deepest truths are hidden in contradiction. One of the most famous tales about Eshu speaks of two friends who swore their loyalty to each other. Eshu walked between them wearing a hat split into two colors, red on one side, blue on the other. Later, when the friends described what they saw, they argued, each insisting the hat was only one color. Their friendship shattered. Eshu laughed, not out of cruelty, but out of purpose. He revealed how fragile truth becomes when pride replaces perception. In Yoruba thought, This is divine wisdom, not truth as an object, but truth as an experience, one shaped by angle, context, and humility. Eshu is also the Orisha of speech, specifically of interpretation. He governs how messages are received, how meaning is made. He doesn't just deliver words, he shapes them, twists them, enhances or obscures them. In this way, Eshu teaches that language is not static. A proverb today may be a curse tomorrow. A compliment in one tongue becomes an insult in another. This isn't chaos for its own sake. It is a challenge to think deeper, to listen better, to understand that words alone are never enough. Intention, audience, timing, all of it matters, and Eshu controls the flow. His presence is required in every ritual, no sacrifice is accepted, no prayer heard, until Eshu has been acknowledged. He is the gatekeeper of the spiritual realm, and without his blessing, no communication with the divine is complete. This gives him a level of authority that is both revered and feared. He can open doors or slam them shut. He can clear a path or scatter it in confusion. To ignore Eshu is to risk misunderstanding the gods themselves. In Yoruba cosmology, where balance and reciprocity govern existence, Eshu serves as a necessary counterweight. He keeps wisdom from becoming arrogance, keeps ritual from becoming routine. While other orishas rule over specific elements or domains, Eshu governs the space between. The tension, the questions, the unexpected. He does not offer answers, he offers movement. And through that movement, deeper truths emerge. To know Eshu is to embrace uncertainty. To honor him is to respect the complexity of communication. He doesn't destroy order. He reveals what happens when it becomes rigid. His mischief is sacred, his riddles are divine. And for those who seek true wisdom, Eshu does not promise safety, he promises depth. At the center of every sacred tradition lies a question that refuses to sit still. Is wisdom a fixed truth, stable and eternal? Or is it a shifting current forever molded by time, context, and perception? Thoth and Eshu offer opposing answers. One chisels wisdom into stone, the other scatters it across the wind. Their philosophies are not merely different, they are in conflict. Thoth speaks of order, of divine law that must be preserved. Eshu laughs in riddles, challenging every law that claims to be absolute. It is in this friction that a deeper understanding begins to burn. Thoth stands as a god of precision. For him, knowledge is sacred because it is reliable. His universe runs on balance, mat, and anything that disturbs that equilibrium risks unraveling reality itself. He does not seek control for ego, but for continuity. The moment knowledge is left to interpretation, chaos follows. In the Egyptian worldview, too much ambiguity threatens harmony, so Thoth created language to preserve meaning. He documented the will of the gods not as a suggestion, but as instruction. His hieroglyphs are not flexible, they are declarations. Once written, the word becomes law. But Eshu thrives where Thoth trembles. For Eshu, truth is never truly complete. A word may mean many things, depending on who says it, when, and why. To try and freeze meaning is to kill its power. Wisdom to Eshu is alive. It breathes, it deceives, it adapts. Where Thoth writes with ink, Eshu writes with irony. And in stories across Yoruba tradition, Eshu repeatedly steps into the sacred and dares to bend it. One such tale tells of a town whose priests were given strict rituals by the Orishas, rituals said to guarantee peace. The people followed these rites perfectly, convinced that order would protect them. But Eshu disguised himself as a stranger and disrupted the ritual with a single wrong movement. The gods were not angry, but the town was thrown into confusion. Crops failed. Blame spread like wildfire. When Eshu revealed himself, the message was clear. Ritual without reflection becomes empty. Blind repetition is not wisdom. Change is not always disruption, it is evolution. Another tale speaks of Eshu bringing war between two villages by altering a messenger's tone ever so slightly. The words were true, but the delivery created offense. The result was bloodshed. When asked why, Eshu responded, "The message is not just what is said, it is what is heard." For him, wisdom is not about correctness, it is about awareness. Who hears? What do they carry? What lies beneath the words? These are questions Thoth would answer with clarity. He would revise the message, fix the wording, perfect the grammar, so that no misreading could occur. In his world, miscommunication is a failure of precision. But for Eshu, it is the beginning of insight. Every misunderstanding holds the potential for revelation. Mistakes are not to be erased. They are to be studied. They show us where we are blind. This philosophical clash, order versus paradox, extends to their visions of humanity. Thoth believes in discipline. Knowledge is something to be earned, preserved, and passed down carefully. There are rituals to perform, roles to respect. The pursuit of wisdom is a sacred responsibility. In Egyptian culture, this created a legacy of libraries, priests, astronomers, and scribes who served as stewards of divine knowledge. Without Thoth, the knowledge of the stars, of medicine, of architecture would crumble. He protects the spine of civilization. Eshu, on the other hand, democratizes knowledge. He does not wait for scribes. He whispers to the drunk, to the child, to the one no one expects. He shows that truth can be found not only in books, but in jokes, in mistakes, in sudden changes. He favors no class, no tradition. If a king is too proud, Eshu will humble him. If a priest forgets humility, Eshu will confuse him. His wisdom is not safe, but it is necessary. And so the question remains, is wisdom a pillar or a pathway? Is it a fixed architecture built to last, or a river that must be navigated with intuition and trust? Thoth reminds us that without structure, knowledge decays. Eshu insists that without flexibility, it becomes tyranny. One god creates the map. The other questions if the map still fits the journey. Both hold power. Both reveal truth. But in their conflict lies a deeper message, that perhaps wisdom is not a destination but a tension, a constant negotiation between clarity and complexity, between laws and their exceptions, between the known and the unknowable. When Thoth and Eshu meet, it is not to destroy each other, but to test the limits of each other's truths. One writes the word, the other dares to speak it differently, and through that divine friction, a greater wisdom emerges, not fixed, not fluid, but alive. In both the Egyptian and Yoruba traditions, language is far more than communication. It is creation. Words are not merely tools to describe the world. They are forces that shape it. For Thoth, the act of writing is a divine ritual, a means of capturing eternal truth. For Eshu, the act of speaking is a divine gamble, a way of reshaping truth in real time. Together they show us that language is not passive. It is sacred, dangerous, alive. And whoever controls it controls more than meaning. They control reality. Thoth's mastery of language is foundational in Egyptian cosmology. He is credited with inventing the hieroglyphs, a system of writing so sacred it was believed to mirror the speech of the gods. Through these symbols, he etched the laws of the universe into temple walls, tombs, and scrolls. Each stroke was deliberate, each symbol encoded with layers of meaning. When priests recited hymns or performed rituals, they were not improvising. They were reading from the divine script that Thoth himself had composed. To deviate from it was not just error. It was spiritual disorder. For Thoth, the word is fixed, and its power lies in its precision. Eshu, by contrast, treats language like fire, never still, always capable of burning or illuminating, depending on how it's used. He governs speech, tone, and intention. In Yoruba cosmology, Eshu is present at every moment where words are exchanged. He does not care what is said, he cares how it is heard. This is why he is often portrayed as mischievous. He flips meaning, inverts messages, and tests the clarity of communication. In doing so, he reveals that language is never neutral. It lives in the space between the speaker and the listener, constantly shifting. Consider the tension this creates. Thoth believes that once a truth is written, it is preserved, eternal. Eshu believes that no truth is ever immune to reinterpretation. For Thoth, the scroll defines the law. For Eshu, context defines the truth. This difference reveals two philosophies not just about speech, but about power itself. If Thoth is the god of authors, Eshu is the god of interpreters. One seeks to control the message from the beginning. The other claims power at the point of reception. Who then truly controls language? Is it the one who speaks, who crafts the original intent? Or the one who hears, who gives that intent meaning in a specific moment, in a specific life? Thoth might argue that the scribe holds authority. What is written is what must be followed. But Eshu would smile and say, let's see how it's received. In a world of politics, religion, and law, this battle plays out constantly. Judges interpret constitutions, preachers interpret scripture, activists reinterpret history, and always the question lingers, who owns the word? In ritual practice, this debate becomes even more charged. In Egyptian ceremonies, priests recited exact phrases passed down for generations. These words were believed to activate the gods, ensure cosmic balance, and protect the dead. The slightest error could disrupt everything. In Yoruba ceremonies, however, praise poetry is fluid. The oriki changes based on lineage, moment, and performer. Meaning expands and contracts, shaped by breath and memory. Both practices treat language as sacred, but only one insists that sacred must mean static. What Thoth offers is the comfort of certainty, the idea that wisdom can be recorded and passed unchanged. What Eshu offers is the challenge of presence, the demand to listen, to adapt, to interpret in real time. Neither is wrong. In fact, both are essential. Because while it is noble to write the truth, it is powerful to shape what it means. And so, we return to the heart of the conflict. Is the word divine because it was spoken by the gods, or because it continues to live through us, through our messy, imperfect, constantly evolving attempts to understand? In the silence after the message is sent, Eshu waits. In the silence before it is written, Thoth prepares, and between them we speak. Though separated by geography and time, the deities Thoth and Eshu are not as far apart as they seem. They emerge from different civilizations, one from the temples of ancient Kemet, the other from the villages and forests of Yoruba land. But at their core, both embody a deeper African understanding of sacred communication, fate, and truth. Their divergence, order versus chaos, structure versus spontaneity, is not a contradiction, but a rhythm. And in that rhythm, they begin to meet. Across African spiritual traditions, communication with the divine is not incidental, it is foundational. Every prayer, every drumbeat, every libation poured into the soil is a message. The gods are not abstract entities. They are engaged beings who respond, who listen, who require proper address. In this context, Thoth and Eshu are both gatekeepers of cosmic dialogue. Thoth inscribes the sacred. Eshu opens the path. One formalizes truth, the other delivers it. Together they represent the full cycle of divine exchange. This convergence becomes even clearer when we explore traditions beyond their original regions, traditions shaped by colonization, displacement, and resistance. In Vodun, for example, practiced across Benin, Togo, and Haiti, the Loa Legba bears remarkable similarities to Eshu. He is the trickster and the opener of ways, the one who must be saluted first in every ceremony. But Vodun, influenced by both African roots and colonial context, also emphasizes ritual structure, sacred chants, and prescribed spiritual laws, elements that resonate with Thoth's commitment to order. Legba carries Eshu's spirit, but the system he moves within has shades of Thoth's discipline. In Santería, the Cuban spiritual system born from Yoruba religion mixed with Catholic iconography, Eshu is syncretized with Saint Anthony or the Holy Child, figures associated with beginnings, paths, and divine messages. Yet within Santería's highly structured liturgy, there are rituals and invocations that mirror ancient Egyptian temple practice. Both systems treat the word as sacred. Both require initiation. Both insist that divine knowledge is earned, tested, and protected. Again, we see Eshu and Thoth converging, not in form, but in function. Kemeticism, the modern revival of ancient Egyptian spirituality, brings this synthesis full circle. Practitioners of Kemeticism today often blend Thoth's scribal authority with African-rooted understandings of communication and divination. In these communities, spiritual practice is not about reenacting a frozen past. It's about weaving together truths that still pulse with life. Many Kemeticists incorporate principles of Ma'at, truth, balance, reciprocity, while also embracing the dynamism of personal revelation, dreams, and lived ritual. Eshu's fingerprints appear even here, in the spaces where the official script must bend to the reality of the practitioner's experience. This Pan-African convergence is not an invention, it's a return. Africa's spiritual map has always been layered. Crossroads and inscriptions, tricksters and scribes, chaos and cosmos have danced together for centuries. In some East African traditions, like the spirit medium systems of the Great Lakes region, we find figures who both speak prophecy and interpret ancestral law. These spirit workers do not divide knowledge into fixed or fluid, they carry both. They are channels, much like Thoth. They are interpreters, much like Eshu. Even in Ethiopia, where Orthodox Christianity reigns, echoes of older traditions remain. Priests chant in Ge'ez, an ancient liturgical language, and interpret scripture through centuries-old commentary. Sacred texts are revered, yes, but so are visions, dreams, and the wisdom of the elders. Here, too, we see the divine word balanced between permanence and presence. What unites all these traditions is a shared African truth. Wisdom is sacred because it is relational. It is not merely knowledge stored in a vault or secrets kept in stone. It is knowledge activated by use, by ritual, by moral responsibility. Thoth reminds us that truth must be preserved. Eshu reminds us that it must also be lived. And both gods, in their own way, demand reverence, not because they crave it, but because the power they govern is too potent to be handled carelessly. In the diaspora, especially among Black communities in the Americas, this synthesis becomes a form of resistance. Colonized people were not allowed to speak their languages, remember their gods, or perform their ceremonies, and yet Eshu survived in secret songs, in coded prayers, in the laughter of those who refused to be broken. Thoth survived in hidden books, in oral histories, in the careful documentation of lineage and legacy. Their union became a tool of survival. Today, the revival of these figures through art, scholarship, ritual, and storytelling is a declaration that African spiritual wisdom never died. It adapted, it crossed oceans, it disguised itself and waited, and now it returns not in fragments, but in fusion. So when we look at Thoth and Eshu, we are not choosing between gods. We are witnessing a divine dialectic, a conversation Africa has been having with itself for thousands of years. One God writes, one God questions, one defines, one defies, and together they reveal a truth too deep for a single name. Wisdom in the African world is both a code and a performance, a rule and a riddle, a word and a whisper, and through them we remember that the path to divine understanding is not a straight line. It is a crossroads. It is a scroll. It is a song carried on the wind, still unfolding. So who wins? The scribe who writes the law into eternity, or the trickster who questions whether the law was ever truly understood? The truth is neither and both, because this isn't a battle that ends in victory. It's a dialogue that never stops. Thoth and Eshu don't fight for dominance. They fight to define the terms of understanding. Their clash is not a conclusion, it's a cycle, eternal, essential, alive. Eshu reminds us that truth is never isolated, it lives within context. The meaning of a word changes depending on who hears it, where it's said, and why. Even the most sacred text can betray its purpose if delivered without wisdom, without nuance. Eshu challenges us to see beyond the surface. He dares us to ask, who is interpreting this? Who benefits from this truth and who suffers under it? For Eshu, wisdom without flexibility becomes tyranny, but Thoth offers a necessary counterbalance. He teaches that without structure, wisdom becomes slippery. A truth that changes too easily can become a tool for manipulation. Thoth gives weight to knowledge. His order is not rigidity, it is reliability. He shows us that memory needs form, that without the anchor of law, even the noblest ideals can vanish. In a world of noise, Thoth is the rhythm that keeps the sacred steady. The question is not who wins, but when each is needed. There are moments when we must write the truth clearly, and there are moments when we must flip it, examine it, laugh at it, question it. Sometimes we need a map. Other times we need a misstep that reveals a better path. So no, there is no victor, just a lesson. Wisdom lives between the line that's drawn and the one that's crossed. So in the end, perhaps divine wisdom was never meant to be a single path. Perhaps it is a dance between opposites, between what is written and what is questioned, between the quiet certainty of law and the loud mischief of possibility. Thoth and Eshu are not rivals in the way we imagine. They are twin forces holding opposite ends of the same truth. One builds the structure, the other ensures it can breathe. One speaks with the weight of eternity, the other with the immediacy of the moment. If you seek clarity, may you hear Thoth. May your thoughts align, your words carry weight, your knowledge be protected. May you write truths that serve, not control. May your wisdom come not from noise, but from stillness, the quiet discipline of listening deeply and speaking with care. If you walk through chaos, may Eshu guide you. May you learn to laugh in confusion, to see meaning in contradiction, to embrace the unexpected message in life's disruptions. May your path twist, but never break. May you find freedom in questions too big for answers. And now I ask you to act, not for views or virality, but for memory. Like this video, not to please the algorithm, but to honor the wisdom that never died, only transformed. Comment which God walked with you tonight. Was it the scribe or the trickster, the one who orders or the one who opens? Which voice echoes in your own? Subscribe to honor what was nearly erased, what was carried across oceans, hidden in proverbs, whispered through dreams. and now returns through your attention, and share this with those who forgot, with those who think African gods are just stories, with those who believe our wisdom is behind us. Share it not as content, but as calling, because the ancestors haven't forgotten, and neither should we.